What went wrong for the CU Buffs in their first game of the season? This is your Denver Sports Daily for September 2nd.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
The CU Buffs took Folsom Field for the first game of the season on Friday, and as much fun as it was seeing the new look Buffs come out of that tunnel, they ended up leaving with a 27-20 loss at the hands of Georgia State. Definitely not fun way to end it, but I mean, there was a lot of great things to look forward to, a lot of good things to look at when you're looking at the new look Buffs. They showed a lot of promise and great expectations should be had, but they also showed a lot of things that they'll need to work on. Now, the most glaring thing that held the Buffs back from winning this game was their lack of ability to capitalize on turnovers. And it's as simple as that. In the first quarter, the Buffs forced Georgia Tech to turn the ball over 3 times, and not only 3 times in the first quarter, on 3 consecutive drives. Now, in the first one, the Buffs got the ball and they scored a touchdown. It looked like it was going to be a great game for the rest of the day. However, after that first turnover, the Buffs failed to score at all on the rest of the turnovers. They couldn't capitalize on any of them. Really poor performance there, but they were able to force turnovers. And that may sound good from a defensive standpoint because we know that the Buffs were being credited as having a much better defense this season than they did last season. But they weren't really defensive turnovers. They weren't really great defensive plays. A couple of them were, but there were a few where it was just bad mistakes by the offense there for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. So really unfortunate that they weren't able to capitalize. Now, another major problem that they had, and this one comes down to Deion Sanders, was the clock management. That was a major issue with time running out late in the fourth quarter. And I mean late, you only got a minute left to score a touchdown to tie the game. Coach Prime refused to use his last 2 timeouts, which could have benefited the Buffs and even led to them winning the game, at least tying it. So that was a major issue. I mean, it's never good. It was very reminiscent of somebody who was coaching the Broncos a couple of years ago, and I won't mention his name, but failing to use those timeouts. Like, let's get it moving. Let's use a timeout, stop the ball, reconvene, get your team there, and get them ready to finish off this drive. It was really unfortunate how that one ended. Now, with the bad out of the way, let's talk about some of the good. Kaidon Salter showed a lot of really impressive skills. His abilities were all there. He was able to move around the pocket and complete some great passes. He finished with 159 yards passing and a passing touchdown on 17 for 28 splits. And then he also added to that with 43 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. So overall, great numbers. You got 202 total yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a great debut for this new look quarterback. You know, you're getting over your ex and Shedeur Sanders, but the new girl's looking pretty good. Now, however, there were a couple times when he could have tucked the ball and ran. That's my one thing that I didn't like to see out of him, is that he didn't look comfortable in running the ball. He could have tucked it and ran for, a big gain or even a touchdown at sometimes, but he still decided to throw it. And then again, it may be his confidence issue. We're seeing somebody who spent 4 years with one program, and then he's coming to the CU Buffs, which are a hot program right now. I mean, these guys are always everywhere. They're posted everywhere. Everything that he does is going to be a pinned post on Bleacher Report's Instagram. So he's maybe being a little bit too careful. But overall, a great game. There were some things that he's going to need to work on, but I'm very excited to see how Kaidon Salter turns out. Now, more issues. I mean, the offense was running. The run game was incredible. But then if there were issues, a lot of it comes down to Pat Shurmur. I mean, he was going away from what works. We're running a screen pass with the ball when you only got a minute left on the clock, and you need to get yards out of bounds on every single play, and it just wasn't working. So this loss, honestly, you can chalk it up to Pat Shurmur in a lot of ways, but of course, losing is a team thing when it comes to football. Now, winning games, of course, matters more in college football than any other sport. So starting with an 0-run record is never good. But I honestly do have faith that the Buffs can bounce back and win a lot of games this season. Now, their next game is against Delaware. That should be an easy win, and that is this Saturday. Moving on, Pat Surtain cracked the top 10 in the NFL's top 100 list. The NFL finished off their rankings of the top 100 players as they released the final 10 yesterday. The reigning DPOY came in at 10th after recording 45 tackles, 11 pass deflections, 4 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery, along with that 1 touchdown that we all remember. Strangely, though, Surtain was not the highest ranked defensive player, as Myles Garrett was placed in the 8th spot. And I don't know how many times we're going to see this. It's still incredibly strange to me how many different outlets have ranked Myles Garrett above Pat Surtain, despite the fact that Surtain is the reigning defensive player of the year. I mean, even Madden disrespected Surtain by leaving him out of the 99 club. How much more of this can we take? But if anything, all this is going to do is put a chip on Pat's shoulder. And if I had to guess, he's going to have an even better season this year. I mean, he's entering his prime. He's right there. Reigning DPOY, has something more to prove because now he's been in the playoffs. He's feeling that. He knows what it feels like to go out there against a team like the Buffs and lose in the playoffs. So I would be expecting a big season, and all of these ratings coming out about him. I mean, not putting him in the top 10, that's great, but putting him below another defensive player, despite the fact that he is the best defensive player in the league, according to the award, is just insane to me. It's insane, and watching or looking at that list, I really don't even know if I can trust the NFL's point of view on it. I mean, crazy. And what really stuck out is that Joe Burrow was ranked, I believe, in the 6th or 7th spot. Joe Burrow had one of the best statistical seasons I've seen from a quarterback. Incredible numbers from Joe Burrow, but he's still below people like Patrick Mahomes. And sure, Saquon Barkley is up there, but then Josh Allen is losing out to Saquon Barkley. The MVPs losing out to the OPOY. I just don't understand the list. I really don't. I don't. I've tried to make sense of them. I try to make it into something that I can respect and understand, but I just have a really hard time doing it when you're putting a defensive player over the DPOY. I just don't get it. Now, moving on, Marvin Mims returned to practice after suffering a groin injury. If you remember last week, Mims left practice early on Wednesday as he suffered a groin injury that luckily wasn't serious enough to hold him back for more than a week. Now, Mims is, of course, going to be a big part of this offense this season, especially with the loss of Devon Vele. So Mims, needs to be healthy. It's as simple as that. He should be one of the X factors for this team. So his health is incredibly important now more than ever. You don't have Devon Vele anymore to step up if you need somebody who you can really trust. If you need a big third down guy, Devon Vele isn't here anymore. Now you got to trust in Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant. So can those two be the guy if something else happens to Marvin Mims? The Broncos are getting ready right now for their season opener against the Titans this Sunday. So really, this needs to be a great training week. We need to hold out, no more injuries. You got to get into this first game healthy, because if you get into the first game, you're going into game 1 of the NFL season and you're down one of your X factor receivers in Marvin Mims, you're setting yourself up for failure. So he needs to be healthy. It's great that he's back. I love Marvin Mims so much. I can't even tell you guys how much faith that I have that he could be one of the better wide receivers, not only on the Broncos, but at one point down the line in the league. Maybe I'm thinking too highly, but I don't think that there's such a thing. With his upside, his health is of the utmost importance, and I'm so excited to see how he looks in game 1 this Sunday. Now, that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. Of course, we are less than a week away. We only have a couple more days until we have CU football on Saturday and then Broncos football on Sunday. I cannot be more excited. I'm so excited to be here right now just talking about these 2 upcoming games. Going to be insane. I cannot wait to get there. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.